Hi everyone, welcome to the first episode of the TTK podcast. So this podcast is all about everything to do with Warzone, zombies and other COD related topics. I am No Fate. If you're watching this on the YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe and like this. And it's the first podcast we're doing, so I hope you guys like it. Let me know down in the comments if you've got any feedback. I'm joined today with my buddy, I Blast Off. And yeah, how you doing, man?
Yeah, man, really good. How's it going?
Yeah, all good in the hood. Super excited, man. This is going to be sick.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. The old TTK, first episode.
So the reason why we kind of want to do this is whenever, before this is all like before COVID and stuff, but whenever we meet up, like in the pub or whatever, our conversations usually talk about stuff to do with Call of Duty. And we always say, we should do this as a podcast. And we never get around to doing it. So right now is like we're sitting down, we're doing it. We've got our Google slides all lined up and ready to go. So yeah, this is it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, this is literally like a straight from the hip kind of style, isn't it?
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, all the podcasts that I listen to and I loved, like they're just like super casual, talking about stuff that like we like, and yeah, it's just two buddies talking about Warzone and zombies and whatnot. So the way we're going to do this, and this might change, as I said, this is the first episode. So yeah, just bear with us. And again, if you've got any feedback, let us know in the comments or whatever. But what we're going to do, we're going to start off with Warzone, and then we're going to head into zombies. And hopefully it's not too long, everything. But down in the bottom, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to go and chapter everything. So you can skip to certain topics that we're talking about. We're going to do the first half of Warzone and the second half as zombies. And I'll make that clear in the chapters. So we're going to start off with Warzone, as I said. And the first topic is, obviously it's a massive one. It's the state of Warzone at the moment. And by the state of Warzone, what I'm talking about is the amount of cheating that's going on, not just in like normal lobbies or whatever. This is going down from the top streamers in and out of competitions for big bucks. So what I want to do, so basically I'm going to be covering the Warzone stuff, and I Blast Off is going to be covering the zombie stuff. All right. So it's I'm going to call you Tell, man. Tell. What's been going down? Because I know you I don't know how much you know, but I know you know a little bit, right? Because obviously I've shared some clips of stuff that, quite frankly, have been like breaking my heart, man. Like some of these top streamers that I love, it's just some of this stuff is too sketchy. So like in Warzone, like one of the biggest titles out there at the moment, like Activision can't put an anti-cheat in it, and this goes down so deep. Like it's going to the point where it changes your whole perspective of the game and indeed the gaming industry, right? Because it's kind of on the fence of like, if they can't do this and they've done something with the game and then later they've discovered, oh, we haven't put an anti-cheat in it and it's so broken that they can't put something in, that's one side of the story. But the other side of the story is that they're actually doing it on purpose to make the game look better. And they're giving a lot of these top streamers what they're calling a whitelist, right? So they know that they're hacking, but no matter how many times they get reported for it, they're not going to get banned because it makes the game look good.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm gonna cut clips in and out of what we're speaking about, guys. So I don't know how I'm going to do this aesthetically for YouTube. It might be just my logo, like animated or whatever. But when I'm going to call out stuff, there'll either be links to it down in the description, or I'm going to physically cut to it on screen and talk about it. So the first thing is like the thing that I want. The question to you, Tell, is like, all of this stuff is like when you play Warzone, the things that I'm interested in is just like high kill gameplays, right? Like how many kills people can get. You've got people like 30 kills, 40 kills, 50 kills.
Yeah.
The record for a solo, I think was he playing solo quads, but it's 60 kills. And obviously now this is by a guy called Aiden on controller. And everyone, now it's kind of like, is he using wall hacks? Is he using like ESP? So he can actually know where people are like all the time and things like that. And what messes me up so much is that it makes you think like none of these high kill gameplays are potentially legitimate. That might not even be possible, because I play this game all the fucking time. And it is so hard to get 30. Like, I think my max is like 24 or something like that. And it's hard, man.
Yeah.
It's fucking hard. So it's like, it's kind of like, it's like chasing the dragon, you know? It's like every time you drop it in, it's like, oh, well, Huskers gets 30 kills, you know? X gets 50 kills. X gets 40 kills, like daily or weekly or whatever, you know? And it's kind of like, fuck, man. It's like this whole thing could be a complete lie.
For me, like, how long has it been going on? Just from the sense of, is this like since the birth of Warzone, or is it since the Cold War kind of crossover?
So hacking has always existed in Warzone. Always. There's never been an anti-cheat. So to some extent, there's always been some form of cheating. First, it was mainly PC guys, because there was stuff out there that PC people could get. And, you know, the controller people were like, oh, this is not fair. Like, I don't want to play with PC people. Blah, 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 blah. And then later, now it seems to be more the controllers, because now you got in like these, just like the things you can stick onto your controller. I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head, because obviously I don't play on PlayStation anymore. But like they give you like instant perfect aim and all this kind of stuff. But then on your if a lot of people on controller play through PC, and they can have things like you can have wall hacks, so you can see people through walls and know where people are all the time. And usually they come with an aimbot. And there's a video from this guy called Bad Boy BEAMAN. I don't know if you guys have seen this guy, but he's kind of like an 8 Thoughts kind of channel, but all he's doing now is just going through like top streamers' channels and breaking down their gameplay, and just like he's basically studied all of the cheat systems inside and out, so he can spot like, you know, like whether they're hacking or not, or whether he thinks they're hacking or not. Yeah. So yeah, so in answer to the question, it's always existed, yeah. Always existed,
okay. Yeah, because I suppose it's just, you know, hacking and aimbotting has always been around in any kind of sort of like PC first-person shooter, right? So this isn't really a new thing, but you'd think that they would learn from the past, and since it's such a big money-making title, that they should be on it, you know. They should be on it trying to fix it.
Yeah, so but this is the thing. This is why it's opening up a lot of questions, because you would think like a massive kind of like publisher such as Activision know by now that the game as a basic level has to have an anti-cheat, right? Some kind of like system that scans the game and blocks these third-party content, or, you know, doesn't allow these third-party applications to kind of interact with the game. Like a simple piece of you think it would be simple, but obviously I don't know. But you would think something that big would have something. So therefore it kind of like asks the question, are they in on it? Are they, because it's obviously blatant, like it's broken, and no one, like everyone's hacking their fucking tits off, you know. Like sometimes you drop in and it's just like you get sniped from across the map, whereas obviously it's just like, okay, this kid isn't even trying to hide it. But then you can dial it down so little that so basically the way, like I watched one of these videos, and basically he was explaining like you can set like the radius in the center of the screen as to how much, like where the hit, like whether like where it senses an enemy, right? And you can make that circle the whole screen or just a little bit, right? So you can make it look like, oh, like even if they're just outside of your center dot, right? It will just slightly snap. You can make it so it just helps you enough that you can win gunfights and stuff like that, you know, with anti-recoil and whatever. And it's just fucking ridiculous, man.
I think, yes, you know what? Because I was thinking, all right, let me put myself in, you know, I've been playing games for a really long time and first-person shooters. And, like, would I be the sort of person that would use a cheat? And the answer is no. But then, you know, in today's age where, you know, you can make so much money by getting such high kill gameplays because, you know, it's all monetized, there's so many reasons why people would do it, which I think now it's become quite an extreme case, you know. Before it didn't really mean anything. You could just change lobbies. But now it's actually... you know, it's actually people are doing it more and more, so they can actually, like say, look better, get these like 50 kill gameplays, and, you know, just sort of lie around it.
Yeah, and I get it, right? Because it's, well, I say I get it. I don't agree with it, but I kind of can see how this is kind of snowballed. Because say if you're a streamer, right, and you're like, oh, I can use this thing on my computer that makes me look epic, and you know, maybe the record before was say, oh, most people like really love to watch content of getting 20 kills or more, right? I can get maybe 10, 12 on my own, but if I use this thing, then I can get 20 all the time and people will love it and I can earn money from it. And maybe, you know, it's a streamer that doesn't have like much income, like poor family, whatever. Fuck, man, I can get thousands of dollars a month from using this thing and hopefully I don't get caught. And everyone's cheating in this game anyway. So fuck it, why not do it? So, okay, so this guy starts making a YouTube channel, streaming on Twitch, whatever. And yeah, so he blows up. And then so the next guy goes like, oh, fuck, well, I want to do that. So how about I do 25 kills? Therefore, I'm the top guy, you know? And it's just an arms race. It's just an arms race. And then people are like, oh, how is that guy getting 25 kills? Or like, look at his like recoil. He's got 0 recoil. Like, how is he doing that? You know? And then it's kind of like, oh, okay, he's hacking. So then if he goes, oh, okay, I'm going to get the same hacks as well. And then, but I'm going to drop 30 bombs all the time. You know? Yeah,
because like, didn't this all start? Like, you know, I have had my ear to the wall on a few Warzone things, but like, didn't it all start from the skill-based matchmaking thing, and then it's kind of just escalated into like this craziness?
Yeah, exactly. It has been from that. So people will feel like, obviously, because of the skill-based matchmaking, and we'll get into another point about a skill-based SBMM Warzone a bit later, which is a really good website for this kind of stuff. This is another reason, like it's another byproduct of this escalation of SBMM. But it's kind of like because the skill-based matchmaking, it was just like it's so heavy. It's not kind of like how like back in the day it was with like Modern Warfare 2 when you could drop in and most of the games would be like it's just a big mix of people. Like you could get someone really good in there, but you could also get like the lobby full of just like, you know, people that weren't really good. So it's kind of like now it's kind of like honestly I played about an hour or two last night, and honestly I play solo duos. So obviously the odds are stacked against me anyway, but literally from the second I hit the ground, it was just like UAV, like 3 teams pushing me with like, you know, kids who are like super sick. I don't know if they're hacking or whatever, but they're like bunny hopping, like perfect aim, like whatever, just constantly. I got to the end of the first circle and I literally just had to sit in the building. I was literally like my body was broken. I was like, man, this is so stressful. I was like hanging on by the skin of my teeth. I was like, this isn't fun, man. I was like, and I had that back the game after game after game after game. And I checked this SBMM Warzone website where you can see your games. And again, we're going to talk about this in more detail later. But they were just like top tier lobbies, like back to back, back to back, back to back. And then I had one, and it was the opposite end of the scale. It was like the bottom tier lobby, and I went in it and I got 20 something. You know, and it's like I was like, it's incredible. That's why people do it, because it's like I don't want to play this game and like be like super sweaty every game, having to be like on point every single second of the match. You know. It gets too much. You just want to have fun. And okay, if you went up against a team and they're like a 3 KD team, fair enough. But then if you went up against some proper newbies and they're like less than a 1 KD, you're like, well, yeah, fine, great. But you don't know what challenge it's going to be. That's how you kind of want it. But these lobbies is kind of like sometimes you go in them and you're like, wow, man, like this is you can feel it as soon as you hit the ground. You're like, wow,
yeah, man. Really, really sweaty.
Yeah, you know it.
Yeah. Oh man,
but it's just the point. It's just the point of like these. If people are doing this to win hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of prize money, you know, and this bad boy BEAMAN guy, again, I'll leave a link to his channel down in the description in this specific video. But there was a guy who was in a tournament yesterday, and he was called out for like, because they have like obviously like the admin guys who sit and watch it, and like some of them are from big gaming organizations like 100 Thieves and stuff. So they're watching it, and this guy, like Tommy's, like he called out another guy, I think it was last week, a guy called PACESETTER, and he was hacking in a tournament. Like, he was actually guilty, and he was taken out of it. But this guy yesterday was kind of like, this guy Tommy retracted his statement. And this Tommy guy is renowned for like, if he accuses someone, it's on good grounds. It's like he can't do it really just for no reason. It has to be on solid grounds. But then later, after even reviewing all of his gameplay from the tournament, he was saying like, yeah, you're hacking. But later he retracted it, and like everyone's saying that, or he obviously got pressure from like either Activision or a big company, or his 100 Thieves, the big organization that's backing him, obviously, because maybe like there must be something like but someone's supporting these hackers, you know, to win this prize money and make the game look good or whatever. Activision is a massive organization. But yeah, I don't know, like the viewers, people listening to this, obviously let us know what you think down in the comments. It's a massive topic, and it is just it's a really bad one. As I say, it's bad enough just if you're just, you know, a regular player playing with your mates, you know, come home from work, you know, you have a regular night with your mates playing Warzone, and you got these like dickhead kids like with their fucking hacks or whatever, and it just ruins your experience all the way up to the level of like top tournament levels and people on Twitch with like hundreds of thousands of followers and people watching them, and kids thinking like, oh, this is how I need to play, this is the level, this is the limit, you know, and it's potentially all based on lies. Like all of it could be lies.
I mean, like, yeah, just thinking about this whole like Activision and this, like how deep does it go on the shadiness, you know, the behind the scenes. I don't know, it's quite scary actually.
Yeah, it's scary. That's the thing, you don't know. So the main point of this, on the main clip that I wanted to show, is this clip from Huskers. Now Huskers, as Terry will know, is like my favorite streamer. It's not like I'm not a fanboy of anyone. Like there's people that I watch like Dr. Disrespect or whatever, like just casually I'll just maybe sit and watch a bit, right? But Huskers was like, you know what, out of all of these people on YouTube with their fucking stupid thumbnails with their mouths open and stuff like that, all like clickbait and, you know, this gun is the best. Oh my God, this gun is epic. This gun kills everyone in like 2 seconds on all this shit, man. And he was just like a normal dude, just like really good at Warzone, just uploads like good, just him playing and winning matches and whatever. I saw this clip, but I'll play now or leave the link down in the description. But like, it's not even just like what he does, it's the reaction to it and what he says to Symphony, where he's like, oh, I just did a thing, as if there's kind of some predetermined, you know, thing that they can't talk about that they do, and he says we're going to be put in cheater lobbies for the rest of the day, you know. And it's like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh man. And honestly, I was trying my best to be like, okay, I'm going to try and look at this from the other side. Is there a reason why he did that? You know, he heard shots in the distance, but why would it make you like fucking beam a piece of the map that really like you there's not even a room behind it, you know? Like it shoots all the way through to the other side or whatever, but there's no reason for it. It's not a door that you can enter or whatever. And he shot exactly where that person was, and his you've seen it, right?
Yeah.
And his mouth opens and he goes, oh, and then he says to Symphony, oh, I've done a thing. And then Symphony says, oh, okay, man, as if to be like, oh, for fuck's sake, all right, cool, we're gonna have to, you know, we have to deal with this or hope no one sees it or whatever. But what's your opinion of that clip?
Well, for one, when he says like his reaction to it, like for what, obviously you can clearly see that it's a proper laser beamed, like out of nowhere. You know, there's no doubt. It feels like super aimbotty. And then it's more his reaction to it that I was just like, yeah, it's kind of caught red-handed, isn't it?
Yeah. The thing is like if you're turned up right and you're on a heater and you're like you're in the zone and you're like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna like I'm snapping from a window to another window, there's no one there, but I'm in the zone, I'm checking that like no one's gonna come from this place because I've got experience, I know people might come from there, and instead of just like wandering around aimlessly, I'm gonna be on point, I'm gonna check windows and stuff. Fair enough, but that's not what he was doing. He was laying on top of a roof just looking around, and then he was like, oh, there's gunshots over there, and then snap. It's kind of like he didn't mean to turn the aimbot on or something, and it did it because he was super surprised.
I took from it, which was basically like, because that's what I say. You wouldn't. I would say if I was in that situation, it's like, oh shit, sorry, I just shot, like, you know, for no reason. But it was like I did a thing is so specifically like giving away alluring to a bigger, you know, picture.
Yeah,
and it's just like kind of accepted and then downplayed.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's kind of like if I did that in a match and I was just like, okay, yeah, I heard gunshot there. Do you know what? I'm just going to try and beam this brick wall, and I started hitting someone. I'd be like, oh fuck! I randomly shot this wall and I got some hit markers. Do you know what I mean? That's what I would say. It wouldn't be like, oh, I just did a thing, as if it's bad, you know, like, and saying a thing, and then if I said to you, oh, I just did a thing, you would be like, What thing? Like what did you do?
Yeah.
Well, there's no context there. But if if we've had 500 Skype conversations before going like, oh, always remember, don't turn your aimbot on in this thing, and don't shoot people randomly through walls. Like if you do, say, oh, I did a thing, So it's
would it been, even if he didn't say anything, it probably would have been better, wouldn't it? People might have just been like, meh.
If he didn't say anything, you wouldn't know. You'd just be like, well, that's a bit suspect, man. Like, that is a bit suspect. Yeah. But even still, that's the thing. I was like, as I said before, I was honestly trying to like defend it. I was like, nah, man, please. I was like, please say it's not. Please say it's not. But I watched it. Every time I watch it, I'm just like, it's so apparent, man. It's so apparent.
So is this the only clip of Huskers where it's been noticed?
Yeah. And that's not, even that video isn't really that big. No one's really seen it, So I've actually sent this. I got in touch with that bad boy BEAMAN guy on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because he says that's the best way to reach him, send him any quick clips or whatever. So I sent him the clip and the time code and whatever and said, I want to take a look at Huskers. Like, this is pretty suspect. But yeah, let's see what he says. Because there's nothing else out there. There's nothing else out there that says like that screams that much. There's nothing of him really that says, oh, he's hacking or he has aimbot or whatever. So I think maybe up until now he's just really covered it up. But even in the past, it's still in my admiration. I watch videos of him like using like the AK, and he's like beaming people like across the map, and like he's got zero, like he's just holding the recoil like perfectly, And I'm like, man, every time I use that gun, that thing fucking bounces. There's no setup in the world out of all the setups that I've tried. Like, there is none that makes that thing sit still. Like, that thing jumps, like, no matter what you fucking do. And it was pinpoint, And I was like, come on.
Yeah.
So even then, I was like, okay, I'm gonna let this. I read the comments, see if anybody else noticed it. A couple of people kind of said something, but it got played down. And he never reacts to things. And I even, like, he said something on Twitter to this PACESETTER guy, the one that got banned from a competition the other day. On Twitter, he said something like, "Are you gonna respond to the allegations of cheating?" And in this, I actually responded and said, like, "Huskers, man, I've been a fan for a long time, but I saw this clip and I put the link and the time code and everything." And I was like, I want to hear, like, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, because, like I said, I'm a bit gutted. And I got hate for it. Like, some people come back to me and be like, "Oh, you're a fucking clown. Like, what are you talking about?" Blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't think you've watched it, because if you watched it, it's pretty suspect, man.
Yeah. It's kind of funny how you're getting abused for like, just, I mean,
I wouldn't say abused. It's just a couple of people, just a couple of emojis and stuff. But
just emoji abuse.
Yeah, emoji abuse. Anyway, I think we'll leave that one there. Again, if you've got any ideas or thoughts, just let us know down in the comments. So next topic is what I was talking about before. So this SBMM Warzone website is really, really good. So if you haven't heard about this, it is SBMMWARZONE.com. And basically what it does is you can go and search your own profile of your own account on Warzone, no matter what you're on, PC or PlayStation or Xbox or whatever. Or you can search up anybody else if you know their name. And it gives you all of the back-end stats. Now, there was a bit of history of this in the last couple of weeks. This website got a bit of hate from Activision, because you could see a lot more information about people that might be hacking, and mainly what lobbies they get into. So I don't know if you've seen this website, but like, you can take a look now.
I have. Yeah.
Sweet. So, but the main thing that it does is that it ranks your lobbies. So the thing that was happening was, like, the big streamers and stuff were getting accused, because one of the other things they're doing outside of potentially aimbotting and stuff, and this is, I've actually seen this being, like, talked about in videos like Huskers and some other people. They openly say it in their videos. They're saying, "Oh, we only got this gameplay, this like 30-40 bomb, because we've been using like the router hacks, so we can get the easy bot lobbies." So when you go on their accounts, you can see that most of their games that they play are in these bottom tier, what they call on SBMM Warzone, bronze lobbies. So bronze lobbies are like the bottom 10% of players. So that's what they're surfing for, these bot lobbies to get these easy lobbies. But the other thing that SBMMWARZONE.com it does really, really well is through this tier system. And it's something, and this is the main point I want to talk about, not about like the lobby surfing and using it for that kind of thing. But the fact is that they've had a new update, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, where they actually show you like what tier you're sitting for different attributes. So like, for example, for KD, I'm diamond level 1. For wins, I'm diamond level 2. Kills, I'm a master, and so on and so forth. So what I want to talk about is like, why isn't this like in the game? Because this is so good. It basically goes like, oh, okay. Like for me, it's like, for example, my KD. It's like, okay, I'm sitting at 1.76 at the moment, but if you get to 2.08, you move up to the master tier, you know, and it's given this edge of like replay, you know, like replay value. Instead of just dropping in and playing the game and just being like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna get some kills, try out some guns or something. It gives you a kind of like a target to go for. So it's like, oh, okay, if I get another 5 more wins, I go up to like master tier, you know, so I can claim like, oh yeah, I'm master tier in this and master tier in that. I'm diamond in this. And it's so good. Like, it's actually giving it like...
Yeah, I do think that is really good. That, you know, that reminds me of like the, you know, Street Fighter, like the system back in the day of being like A+ and then S+ and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly, a ranking system.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's giving you an actual ranking system. So that's because people really in Warzone have been doing it themselves on the back end. That's how you kind of like, obviously most of it's KD and wins. It's like, oh, what's your if you try and like go on a, you know, you're trying to find a lobby on Discord, you're on a Discord server looking for games, right? And people are like, what's your KD? What's your KD? That's obviously because that's how good you are. So that's the thing. This is just giving it like, it's good. It's giving it like these tiers. So if it was like, you know, if it was integrated in the game, and it should be like, okay, if you're a diamond player, like you said about Street Fighter, I'm only going to play against diamond players. I can go into a ranked server, a ranked lobby, and just play against really good diamond players. That, you know, and that will and I'd have that. That's the only way that I can rank up to another diamond level or something, by getting X amount of kills, getting X amount of wins.
Like based on you know, like so diamond. Say if you're a diamond versus a diamond, but you only take points off diamonds, and if you play a bronze player, you take a smaller amount of points because they're far less better than you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So actually, that system worked really well.
Yeah, exactly. That's stuff like that. You know, that'd be sick. But it's not integrated in there. It's like it's up to a third party kind of company to put this stuff in. I think it's sick. Like I'm going back through my games. Like literally, I'm looking on SBMM Warzone right now. And let's have a look at my last game. So you can see that my recent distribution of the last, how many matches? So 11, 15, 16 matches. 11 of them were diamond. 11 of them were diamond, which is the top tier lobbies. 4 of them was platinums, which is the next one down. And then I had 1, which is bronze, which is the opposite end. It's the worst lobbies you can be in. Like the easiest lobbies ever. So, for example, diamond 4. So basically, you've got diamond 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 being the hardest. 4. I think it's 5 actually. Say 5 being the lowest, and same for platinum, same for bronze, same for whatever. I mean, the median, and it's all kind of done by your median or average KD. It doesn't change that much, but it does obviously change. That's how they get the ranking system going on, you know. Yeah, and so like that's the diamond 4 is the top 15% of players. As an example, I had a diamond 1. Diamond 1 is the top 5% of all of players on Warzone. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like they're the ones I was feeding, and I got 3 kills in that game. But if we go and look at my bronze game,
this system. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, so if we go look at my bronze game, I got 60 in solo duos. So I'm playing on my own against duos. I got 16 kills. And the bronze, that was in the bronze 3 lobby. So that's the bottom 6%. The bottom 6% of players. Honestly, I was in there and there was just kids just like literally just standing in the middle of a field. And I was like, I'm in the bronze lobby. I could feel it. I was just like, I'm in the bronze lobby. I literally could walk up to them and just like put a grenade on their head and then like that and kill them like super easy. Like it wasn't fair for them that I was in the lobby like whatsoever, you know? It's literally not fair. And the kind of side point that I wanted to make in this topic was it's like, it's literally like night and day. It's literally like, if you're playing in the bronze lobby, it is literally like playing a completely different game. Like completely different. It's so easy. It's so different. Whereas when you're in a platinum or diamond 1 lobby, It is like, honestly, you cannot even breathe. Like, it is just so intense and so sweaty, and everyone's fucking jumping around corners, bunny hopping, drop shotting, like in helicopters and cars, and like, you know, all jumping out and rushing you. Honestly, it's insane. Like, you can feel it. And it's like saying, like, how can they make it like that? Like, I think it's obviously to do with like the skill-based matchmaking. Obviously, that's why the website's called that. It's all to do with that. But how can you go? There's so much to it. It obviously must be due to your KD, like what servers it puts you into based on your location, who's available at the time, all of this stuff. And that's what people are doing with this kind of router thing. So it's like a NetDUMA router, and what you can do is basically just set your location to say, one of the easiest places that they're saying here, if you live in America, is Hawaii, because there's not a lot of people there. There's not a lot of people playing like Warzone, and if they are, they're not very good players. So you set your router to be like, I only want, and you can set a circle in the app that you get you with the router, and be like, there's loads of routers that do it. There's quite a few, but this is the one that everyone uses. And it says like, it blocks it. It blocks the connection to any other lobby outside of that. And you can actually, when you start the game up, you go on this application for the router, you can actually physically see the servers, and you can click on the server and say, I just want to play on that server, and that's it. So you can pretty much fish for, so obviously Egypt's another one, like all that kind of stuff. So you can kind of fish.
That's mad.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? But that's the thing, is like, it's kind of like there's no smoke without fire, right? It's kind of like, well, if the game wasn't so like fucking batshit crazy with the lobbies, and it was kind of like you did just get a mixed bag, or you had casual lobbies where you could play them, raise your KD and stuff, but really what the kind of the bragging rights is coming from these diamond, you know, saying I'm a diamond player, I'm pushing up through this, and you in a ranked server where you know you're playing against diamond level people. Only those people.
I think that's, yeah, like you say, that's the difference. It needs to be a ranked. It needs to be a ranked server. But obviously, Activision, they know about this website. They tried to take it down, didn't they? Or remove settings.
Well, so what they did is they because basically they use something, again down in the comments. There's something like an API, I think it's called. Basically, what this company does, SBMMM Warzone, is they use this API, this information that is freely available from Activision, and that pulls all of the data from its players. So what then Activision did is they made it so that like you have, as a person like you and I, you have to go into your Activision account and opt in to say, oh, I'm free for external parties to know this information. So obviously what they're saying why it's bad is because if you're a hacker or a cheater, you can say no. And then nobody can see your stats, like what lobbies you've been into, what's your KD, you know, like your accuracy, or all of that kind of stuff. You can't see it. So that's why now on this website, when you actually look at your last games, it will say available players. Like for this one that I'm looking at now, it says 95%. So 95% of the players in this lobby had their stats available. The other 5% had them hidden. So that could be just for the fact it's just an average Joe who doesn't really care about this stuff, just hasn't gone on Activision and changed the setting, you know? But it gives the opportunity to, that's why there's lots of videos on YouTube from certain channels that say like, you know, Activision and now have made it a lot easier for cheaters. And again, it goes hand in hand with what's happening in the previous point with all of the hacking and competitions and stuff like that. They're just like, they keep opening the doors for cheaters, you know? So there's... Yeah,
I think it's crazy interesting just of like how deep this really goes.
Exactly, isn't it?
Yeah, I just feel like if you're going to do skill-based matchmaking, which they have been, and you know, it's a massive issue, everyone's talking about it, then the Street Fighter type style, like what the website is trying to push, you know, having diamond versus diamond, and actually giving it more, like you say, like just a ranking system, and then just let casuals be casuals where everything's mixed. It's like, why try to hide things, cover things up? And it's obviously, don't know, there's obviously some things we don't know. We're not having all of the, you know, things revealed to us.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it makes it difficult to actually physically say something concrete. Because you're like, whoa, it's just, you know, most of these people, it's just suspicion. You can't prove it, you know. Obviously, some people have been proven that have been caught out live in competitions. But again, it's like, if you, again, I'll leave a link to this description from this video by Bad Boy BEAMAN. He actually goes through and he's got footage from a hacker who goes through and shows you on screen all of the settings that you can change and whatever, you know. And it's like you can really dial it down so it's just a very minimal minimal thing, you know, but it's like, okay, every time I ADS on a person, but I have to ADS onto them first, but it will then, after that point, it will stick onto their chest, you know, it won't leave them and things like that. It's like, you know, for somebody just watching who didn't know, you'd be like, oh fuck, well their aim's really good, you know, and it can be like that. It's not obvious. It's like everyone's just spinning around and headshotting everyone, because obviously that'd be super obvious. Anyway, so I thought I'd leave that one there. The last one is like just a super quick one, right? And this is just about the audio in Warzone. And literally, I think I actually might just do this as like a quick fire question, right? So tell me, in a battle royale game such as Warzone, do you think there should be an item that you can pick up off the floor that makes your footsteps disappear so that no one can hear you?
Well, yeah, absolutely not. No.
Exactly. You know, it's like what I'm talking about is dead silence, right? Go on, say what you're saying.
It's just like, I mean, yeah, it's obviously I'm all up for making things, you know, fun and arcadey and interesting and stuff like that. But they've really gone down the route of trying to make it kind of, you know, Battlefield-esque, where it's really about the gameplay and, you know, just it's got a lot of good things going for it. So it's just, why don't you just take out dead silence? You know, it's just giving people advantages and pissing people off. Yeah,
honestly, I laugh because like, sometimes I have to cry because obviously it's like, you know, I'm trying to get content for YouTube, right? Like, you know, I'm trying to get like engaging and exciting content. I'm dropping into like Superstore, you know, on my own, like solo duos or whatever. And again, I revert back to our previous talks. Like, this is all based on the fact that I've seen a lot of other YouTubers do it and like come out really well. But now I'm thinking like, they might have been hacking, and like that's why they go in fucking Superstore and they come out with like 8 kills, you know. I have done it, obviously, but it's like it's hard, you know. And it's also harder. I literally had a day where I had this, or I played for about 2 hours, and I think about an hour and 30 minutes I constantly dropped in Superstore, and I got killed, I think about 80% of the time, by dead silence, because I literally just like, oh, I'm dead. Because there was a guy behind me and he literally could just run up behind me without me seeing him and just like shoot me in the face, or like finish me with a finisher or whatever. And it's like, I was like, how can I can't even react to that. How can I react to that? It's not even like a game mechanic.
Yeah, it's just unfair. I was thinking, do you really need like the stopping power and the dead silence and all the add-ons that were from Modern Warfare in Warzone?
No.
Do you need any of them?
No, you don't. That's another thing. It's kind of like, oh my god, like how did that guy kill me like so quick? It's like, oh yeah, he's got a thing that in his gun that you can pick up off the floor that makes your bullets like, you know, extremely more powerful. I was like, oh great, that's fair, isn't it? Like that's great. And like the same thing with dead silence. It's just like when I pick it up, I'm like, oh, that's a free kill. It's a free kill. Basically, it's a free kill. It is like the thing that I would say is that like when I have it and I'm playing against like solo versus, obviously there's a lot more people than like duos, trios, quads. It gives me the advantage of like, it's the only real way that I can push, like if a team's in a building, it's the only way I can push into it, because otherwise they're going to hear me. But really I shouldn't be able to do it. You know, that's the whole point, because that's the only way I can sneak up on a team of 4 people and kill them all. That's how powerful it is. The other part of it is, and before I move on to the next bit, because it is kind of dead silent space, but not. There's like clips here from Dr. Disrespect, and it basically says it all. And this is how I feel, but I don't react as badly as this. But he's the best one who talks about the audio in this game. There's a clips here. There's many more, but I'll put a clip like right up right now. But after this is just the general sound design. So after the dead silence stuff, there's some parts of the map and like behind buildings and stuff where the like the audio occlusion. So audio occlusion is obviously, there's a wall in the way, so therefore the sound would be excluded from my ears, because naturally, you know, the sound would be muffled because there's objects in the way. But there's some that are just ridiculous. Like you're there and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, you hear footsteps and they're like 1 second away from you. You know, it's like, oh, for God's sake. And for them, that you can be heard as clear as day. And again, there's some more clips here of like Dr. Disrespect that I'll put up, but like it's just the same thing. It's just like in a battle royale game such as this, audio is so fucking important. It's like the most important thing. It's how you can react to scenarios. And it's not just footsteps on their own and it's just like, oh, they're not loud enough. It's this, the whole sound design of it is just, there's so many fucking sounds. It's like, if you don't turn your music off, which I've done, like, you know, when it's like the zone's coming and you get music playing, you know, like music playing, and then the guy's talking is like, you know, gotta get to the safe zone, blah, 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 blah. And then there's like fucking planes flying overhead and like all of this stuff. It's like, Jesus, man. It's like, it's like most of the time it's impossible. It's like, oh yeah, there was a dude sitting like walking around in front of me. I can't hear him because I've got all this stuff going on, you know? It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about like the occlusion stuff because it just takes me back to like Battlefield, and I actually felt like the sound design on Battlefield was really, really good. I didn't play it too much, but yeah, in terms of Warzone, where it's so like you literally depend on sound so much. So what I just can't see how they've not tested it enough. Or I actually feel like removing dead silence and things like this, things that actually affect sound, will help, because maybe they try to balance things out, and I don't know how it works, but I'm sure it is quite hard to make the sound design. You know, there's so many different variables to it. It must be really hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, come on, like for such a big title and for how long it's been out as well, there's certain things like, yeah, they need to fix.
Yeah, but the thing is like, if me and you were sitting in there, like at Ravensoft or wherever, developing this game, obviously it wasn't Ravensoft before, but like, I'm just, you know.
Yeah.
Now. But like, say if you was there now and you was like building this game, you know, from the ground up, you'd be saying, this like sound is one of the most crucial and important aspects of this game. You know, you've got one life / 2 lives if you come back from the gulag or whatever. You know, being able to react to sounds in your environment, knowing where your enemies are, is key. Is absolutely key. Why is there an object in the game that lets you run around without any sound, like whatsoever? Like, why?
It just doesn't make sense. You know what? I think obviously it's like it was made at the same time as Modern Warfare, and they kind of use the same assets. And I feel like there's probably someone there who was like, guys, you know, we've added all these new features. I feel like it needs to be in the game. And then upon, you know, this new season, new review, new changeover, this would be one of the things we would pick up and be like, you know, what do people like? How's it work? Blah, blah, blah. You would pick up dead silence like most people have in the community and just been gone, do we really need it? I don't think so. So like, I'm surprised it's still there.
Yeah, I am surprised it's still there. But the thing is like, you can, even with all the gun balancing and everything that's happened like in Warzone, it's kind of like, it's just always like, I just get this feeling of just like no one really gives a fuck, you know? It's just kind of just like, no one, it seems like no one tests stuff. It seems like no one tests stuff anymore. It's like you could get any kid, like just get 10 kids that play Warzone all the time to sit in there and go like, oh, well, yeah, this doesn't work, that's broken, and that's that, fix that, and that, you know? It's like, does no one sit there and test stuff? Like, it's insane, you know?
Do you think it's got something to do, obviously it's slightly off topic, but like, I do feel like, because I'm doing a lot of zombie stuff, and there's a lot of things saying about like people not testing stuff, like Treyarch being really well known for not testing stuff enough, and lots of things like this. Do you think it's got something to do with like maybe the leakers, and they're not sure about who to get in, or they don't trust anyone as much, so they're not putting enough time into it? Or I don't know, obviously it feels like a money thing where they're like, most of the time they just want to get it out rather than actually test it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could be some sort of, I just feel there's so many nuances in the background where it's like big money heads were just like, nope, if it's not broken, you know, don't fix it. So that sort of thing. Yeah,
I think it is. That's the thing. It's just like, if we're coming from the point of like people that like, you know, generally care. Obviously, you're playing it, you're doing, you know, whatever about it. You love playing the game, so you're passionate about it. But for them, it might just be like, well, I don't really care. And obviously, if their bosses are like, well, is it going to cost us money to change it? It's like, yes. Will it make us money if you change it? No. Oh, well, you're not going to change it then. But yeah, but like billions of people are like saying like they hate this fucking game because of it. It's like, well, you just told me it's not going to make me any money, so like I'm not going to change it. But I know for a fact, and listen to this. It's just an idea I've had off the top of my head. If they put something in the store that says like, oh, if you buy this pack, then you're 15% more likely to pick up dead silence from a box, would people buy it?
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
Exactly. But the thing is like, I don't think that they've even thought about it. It's not, I think it's just kind of, like you say, it's in Modern Warfare, so we'll put it in the game, like stopping power and stuff, you know? But it's kind of just like, I just don't even think it's kind of like here or there, you know?
Well,
like,
it's basically like, yeah, this exactly the same way as like, oh, hi guys, we've just made Cold War. Here's all the guns. Just chuck them in. Don't test them. No one cares. You know, it's basically that.
Yeah.
It's like, here's some new features. Just chuck them in. They're probably like, you know, not a priority list. And obviously we all know how the guns, when they came over, how broken they were, and like how it completely broke. It broke Warzone just having like all these new metas, and it was just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean that's another topic in itself. But we always said is I just don't understand how they're going to merge. Like I just don't understand it. Doesn't make any sense. Like from a kind of like like from a coding and integrating weapons and stuff like that, even just to like the map and the mechanics and stuff. Because it's like, as you know, like when you come and play Warzone after playing like a Cold War, you're like, well, the movement is so different. Like it's a different game. It's a different game. You've got all of these weapons from Cold War in there, but it doesn't play the same. It plays like Modern Warfare. It's a different game, you know. Yeah. It just doesn't.
I felt like it was really, really like, you know, dreaming big. Like, oh, wouldn't it be great if just everything was in sync? And that's obviously what they're trying to do. But yeah, it just seems like, I don't know. At the time, it seems like they're trying to bite off more than they could actually chew.
Yeah.
With that, I mean, essentially, that's what happened in the end.
Yeah.
But you're right. You know, with the meta in terms of like, oh, let's create like, yeah. If a new item thing that people could buy for like 20 quid, you get 15% chance of getting dead silence. No doubt people would do it, because everyone uses the meta because they want to do good, because of usually like skill-based matchmaking, and you always want to do the best you possibly can do, or most people do if they're casual players.
Yeah.
So it's like they'll happily buy into a dead silence thing.
Yeah,
or they'll happily buy like, you know, a new gun, a new blueprint if it's gonna get you quicker headshots.
The whole like pay to win kind of thing, right?
Pay to win, yeah.
But that's the thing, and again, it's like, even when Modern Warfare was out, and you're like, fuck, man, this game's great, like for the gunplay and stuff. There's like so many guns in here and different attachments and things like that. But then at the end of the day, even with like without all the Cold War editions, it's like, well, only really everyone uses 3 guns. You know, like, because they're the only ones you can really use, because the other ones don't, you know, they've got stupid recoil, they don't have enough damage or whatever, you know. It's kind of like there's not really a lot you can use. Granted, now that the DMR's been nerfed, a lot has opened up, but I think that's only going to last a week or two, and then people are just going to be like, okay, yeah, now that like websites like True Game Data, where I get a lot of my data from for my videos on guns, but they're great, nothing bad about them, because they test all the weapons. And again, because in Gunsmith, none of the attachments do what they say they do. They don't tell you anything. Like one grip, for example, says, oh, it gives you like, the only thing it does is give you faster melee. You're like, okay, but when they tested it, it gives you 15% better hit, like horizontal recoil, and 30 vertical or something, you know.
It's like, what
the fuck, man? It's like your game, and you don't even put this information in there. It's crazy. Like, you need to like.
There was also, wasn't it like some blueprints, which were like one of the ones you got from the battle pass. I think it was from the Mac 10, and then it was just like in multiplayer, you know, it was, you know, not really that great, but in Warzone it was crazy. It was doing like critical headshot damage at a normal like.
Yeah, the blueprints were broken, and they had to fix them.
Just crazy.
I mean, I can never really get over the fact that the attachments don't do what they say they do. I can't get over it. It's just like, what? Like, what way? You must know what they do, because these guys that live in fucking Belgium, or I don't know where these guys are, they just go and test them, and they can find out the information, like I used to do. You know, it's just like, but you have a team of developers that put these things in there, and what, they don't know? They don't know what it does? Really? Come on, man.
Yeah,
like,
round it up.
It's so stupid. It is so stupid. But then again, it gives like people like me something to do on YouTube, right? It gives you a niche. But you don't really need it, but like, it's obviously because it's broken, you got an angle to make some content.
You know, like that is when they spend and invest so much time into actually, like, you know, creating it and all the top line stuff, that all of those little things, like, you know, going and testing all the guns, it is quite a culty thing to do that they maybe didn't expect, like when it first came out, it was just like, oh yeah, people will actually just listen to what we say. But even with zombies, back in the day when it first came out, people were like going into the, so much granular detail of like the frame rates of like melee and stuff like this, because it's just really interesting to know. But I think the developers, they don't really care. They're just trying to make the game look good, sort of thing. So I suppose they're giving them a little bit.
I don't know. I think they have to care, right? If you're putting in attachments in the weapon to kind of make it better or worse, it has stats behind it. So you must know what the stats are, right? Because it's like...
They must.
It's just like, well, obviously just the average Joe, like I kind of said before, just comes home on a Thursday night after work and wants a game of Warzone. He's going to go and look at that attachment that I was talking about earlier, that grip that says all it does is melee damage. He's going to go, well, I'm not going to use that. And he's going to go and put something else on that probably secretly just makes the gun crap. Like, he's going to go in Warzone and go like, oh, I can't use this gun. It's like rubbish. Like, and then old Jimmy One Shot comes around the corner, like, who's been watching like J-God for like the last 16 years. And like knows every attachment and every secret buff and whatever, and it's like he's got like some massive advantage, So I think they have to know, and they have to have the responsibility to know what their attachments do, and they should really display it properly in the game.
Well, yeah, of course. It's like you shouldn't ever not display the truth, like when you have it. Like, I feel that that is crazy. I was trying to think of a way of like maybe why defending them, but they have all the data and they're just choosing not to show it for some reason.
Yeah.
But like, again, and it's so sus like this, you must think, why would they say a grip is going to do quick melee, but then it actually does something real, like say a secret buff? It just doesn't make sense.
I don't know, but I can't see an angle of why it would benefit like them.
It's either a mistake or a money thing. Like, there's nothing else it can be. Like, oh, we want no one to use these attachments for, like, because we're going to bring out something later that's going to be a pay-to-win thing.
Yeah, but the thing is like, that's what I'm saying, but you'd want the populace, like the masses, to know, like, oh, this thing is really good, buy it, like spend money on it. It's like me saying, oh, I've got the secret to life here sitting in my drawer, in my desk. But I'm not going to tell anyone about it, or they could buy it from me, but I'm not going to tell them about it. I'm going to actually tell them that I've actually got like a pile of shit in my drawer, that's got quick melee, If people go, well, I'm not interested in that. It's a pile of shit. It's a pile of shit. Why am I interested in that? But really, it's like, oh, I could have sold that pile of shit for like what, Do you get what I'm saying? It's kind of like, well, what if you're trying to sell stuff and make money? Describing them as doing worse things than they do is
not. Like, it actually worked in multiplayer. Was it actually quick melee? Because it's only when it crossed over to Warzone that it becomes like epic.
No idea, because I don't really care about the multiplayer side. I don't really care about what they do in Warzone. But again, you don't know if it's a crossover thing.
Crossover, yeah.
Who knows? But they should know. They should be put in the game, because just the average people are going and testing it and finding out like all this stuff.
Yeah, man, it's so funny. Well, we're only going to see how it develops, but I can't believe like just the sort of shitstorm that they're kind of going through at the moment with all this stuff. It's just mad. There's just endless amounts of bad things.
Yeah, I think that that's to end the Warzone chapter of this first episode of TTK. It's just like at the moment, and that's why I led with the title of the state of Warzone at the moment, because I literally just like, what? Everything is just like, what the fuck is this game? Like, what is it? This is mad. It's because it's the most popular game, and you can't argue it's probably one of the most popular FPS games, titles, series, Call of Duty out there ever. And the state of this game, what it is at the moment, is just ridiculous. Anyway, let's move on to zombies. What have you got?
Yeah, zombies. So, I suppose a little intro on the zombies is that, both myself and Fate, we've been playing zombies for, since we played the campaign late at night and unlocks, World at War, and it turned into a random Nazi zombies map. We've been playing since literally day one. And I have stuck with it for, I suppose it's probably the thing I invested the most time in. And yeah, so really what I wanted to talk about for this episode was just you've played all of the different variations from BO2 to BO3, BO4, and I just wanted to see how you felt that Cold War Zombies compares to, you know, these older titles. I'm like, what do you think's good? What do you think's bad? What do you think's missing? Just like a general open question that we can just have a discussion about.
Yeah, right.
And then
the first thought that pops into my head was just like, I remember because when I first started playing Cold War, that was the thing I played. I stopped playing Warzone. I just played Cold War, and the thing I played in Cold War wasn't multiplayer; it was zombies. And the first thing I felt was that it was just so much kind of like it seems like it's just for like new players, like to get involved with zombies, which is great. I thought of the obviously like graphically and aesthetically, everything looked really cool, interesting, but it definitely had that feel of like just giving you a helping hand throughout. And we kind of like from Black Ops 4, where like it was a lot easier than it was back in the day, like when you had really no help. And obviously you can talk to this like a lot more than I can, but it's just like back in the day it was fucking hard, man. Like it was hard. If you made a mistake, you're down. Like there's no help, no like special weapons, nothing. You know, obviously you had wonder weapons and stuff, but you had none of these. Like now you feel like a cat, man. You've got like 9 lives. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, oh, if I don't have this, then I have that can get me out of trouble. And if I don't have that, then I have this that can get me out of trouble, you know? And then during like round 20, up to round 20, you've got like 3 or 4 of these things that you can do to get yourself out of trouble, you know? I just remember being back on all like classic NETDUMA and stuff back in the day and just being like, if I go in that water, man, and I'm round 30, 40, whatever, and I'm slow, that's not good. Like, I'm fucked. There's nothing that's gonna get me out of that, you know.
You're gonna get downed. It was way harder back in the day, and I even think in BO3, like I actually I've been playing Cold War. I was playing Cold War quite a lot, and then I went back to BO3 just because I just fancied playing like Shadows of Evil. Just don't know, come over me. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna play it, and it's so mad going from Cold War to BO3 because like it just kind of numbs you to like actually how hard it is again. And you just like you said, there's no get out of jail free cards. Obviously there's the mega double guns and stuff, but not using them, just playing it straight up. It's just so much harder. And I think
one of the one of the things with BO3 was like it's like when you go back, it's this movement. Right, and like the movements feels a lot slower, and you're like, oh god,
yeah.
Like if I get in trouble now, I'm gonna be so screwed because I'm used to like sliding and everything, and this doesn't work.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you know what? Like for me, Cold War is actually the game. Like as everyone knows anyway, who's played Cold War Zombies, the actual gameplay and the movement is super high tier level. It's actually really good. There's not actually that many things wrong with Cold War apart from the fact that there's only one map, and that's like I mean people compare it to like in BO4 they released 4 maps on launch and they've only released 1 map with this game, so people are saying, oh, there's not enough content, blah blah, which is kind of true in this day and age. They should probably have like a survival map to go alongside it, just even if it was Nacta and Totem. I think people would have been happy with it. So the only thing they're really saying is there's a lack of content. But I think in terms of gameplay, it's really, for me, I think it works amazingly. Like imagine if you had this gameplay mechanics. I mean, I'm not even talking too much about the support craft items. I don't really care about those. But the actual movement mechanics, if you put those onto BO3, like it would be a dream, I'd imagine. Like just having the combination of that movement. Because you can... Whereas before, like back in the day, and you come up with all these different techniques, it's probably similar, like the juking in Warzone and bunny hopping and things like this. That's what makes the games really cult and makes them great. And back in the day with zombies, you had all of that stuff. Now the movement's so good, you don't really need it as much. So it's taken away a little bit of that character. And that's sort of like you can literally, if there's 5 zombies, you can easily spiral around all of them. And it feels quite nice like that. Like, whereas before you would just get double swiped and downed.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like, what? Whereas now you actually feel like you're a bit more in control. But they have made this map, super easy. Like for noobs, the Easter egg was really easy for anyone to pick up.
That was the next thing that I was going to say. I was just like, even in your like intro to the zombies, like our backgrounds in zombies is like we've either done or attempted pretty much every Easter egg out there, right? And it's like there's no helping hand, and like even back in like even like Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, whatever, the Easter eggs were mad. All right, you have to look out of the map at this thing, shoot it 3 times, like spin around, like jump up, like random stuff that you would like. It would take a whole community to figure out and test and spend hours and hours and days to figure out this Easter egg that was super hard and super rewarding to figure out. In Cold War, I did it like pretty much after we had a couple of attempts together. Then I went off on my own and I figured most of it out. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not like I'm saying this. I'm saying I'm not that good at it. Like I haven't done it for years. But even I was just like, oh, there's a box there. Let's shoot it. It falls down and gives you stuff. Like, it's just like, okay. And it's even like with the teleporter in the beginning, like turning on the power and the teleporter and, the dark ether and stuff. It was like, it literally like tells you where to go, It's just like, you never had that back in the day. Part of the fun of like, new title, new zombies map was like going into it and go like, all right, where the fuck is power? As a third thing is like, how do we get to power? And everything's all new. You're looking around like, where's the doors? What one's, how much does it cost? Blah, 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 blah. That's the excitement of it. But with this one, it's kind of like, I've got to go there. And then after I do that, I've got to go there. And it's just kind of like, you're just going through the motions.
I think, this is what I've just been trying to play out through in my head. When it first came out, it was really just a side mode that they've, over time, it's actually become really like it's too old, like Star Wars or Game of Thrones or something like that. It's like if you wanna, you can dig so deep. And I think the pinnacle of it was probably BO3 when the community was going crazy. But like a lot of people back in the day, like they loved BO2, BO1 and BO2, but when it got to BO3, it went a bit too crazy, and a lot of people, more the casual players, kind of just drifted off of it. But the ones that loved it, absolutely loved it. They went crazy for Black Ops 3. And obviously, when you go back and play the match, you're like, oh wow, yeah, like this is so good. But now I think because BO4 was so badly received, I guess, that they had to kind of do a reset and start again from the beginning. That's what the Dark Ether is all about anyway. And I think they've kind of made a map that was just open enough for everyone to play, but just really, really, I think they're starting it's the beginning of, well, we'll see how much time they invest in it from Tryout's perspective, because it still feels, I feel like they're trying to make it more than a side mode, but they're kind of testing the water. So we'll kind of see. I think if Cold War does well, the rest of the season, when this new map comes out, if it's well received, then I think there's a potential to go on another 10 years of this sort of still kind of building into maybe having its own game eventually. Yeah. But if it doesn't work out, I feel like it really could be they might be like, well, we tried, but that's why they're having this open community at the moment to try and get more zombie fans into it. And I think having this really easy D-Machine map, people just, they are loving it. They're not saying anything bad about it. Everyone loves it, but it's just, it's not old school zombies. But I do think that with Firebase the new map, I'm looking for the Easter egg to be a lot harder, and I actually think the map's going to be I would like to see if it's as easy, if it's a direct replica of the machine, I'll be like, nope, they're not investing in it. They're kind of just selling out and they're just doing whatever's going to make the mass happy. Yeah. If it's harder, I'll be more interested in it, and it's really going to be a bit of a turning point for how the rest of the season's going to develop. And I'll be like, actually, you know what? They've still got their roots. They're not selling out. So I think it's going to be really interesting anyway.
Yeah, that's my gut feeling is that my gut feeling is that they won't, and it will just be, they'll probably go for the easy route, because the thing is, again, it's just Activision. Same thing I was saying in Warzone. It's just they're only interested in making money, and it's obvious. There's no more back in the day they were making games for the gamers. There was no of this there was no stores. There was no buying items and all of this kind of stuff. So all these microtransactions and things really just drive their decision making behind how they make the games. And they're not going to go. I don't think they're going to go oh yeah, let's not really make it appealing, make it a lot harder for new players by making the Easter egg really hard, and which is essentially the story, the narrative of playing that map. I don't think it's my gut feeling is I don't think they do. I hope they don't. I hope they do make it quite hard and back to how it used to be. But even if it was like, okay, say it was like it was in the middle, it wasn't as easy, but also wasn't like old school like zombie, but old school.
It would need to be in the middle for it to be like a progress in the right direction. Like you say, if it's direct replica of the machine, then we'll know their true intentions. But yeah, go on, sorry.
No, that was pretty much it. I was just like, it's just and I hate this. It is just like the capitalism kicking in, and it's just like they know they can just make so much money off this stuff now, and they're probably sitting in the boardroom and saying like, okay, zombies is it's a separate entity where we really make our monies off of Warzone, etc. But how can we market and make money out of zombies? And
the question that I think that is a good question, and they like from my perspective, for it to keep on going, obviously I don't want it to just fade away. So I'd rather that they kind of find this balance between getting new players on board, making money, but then also still keeping true to its roots. And it probably is quite a hard balance. And I felt like the actual gameplay and the stuff they put into the game still holds that. It was just kind of like well, it's more about how it's gonna develop from here. Because you'd imagine if you want, for example, I don't buy any of the stuff on the store because it just doesn't really interest me. But if they were to have like actual zombie related stuff, like not just kind of throwaway things, but like, I don't know, a zombie related operator that was linked to the storyline, or like guns that were linked to like for example, in the Prestige store, if they had old Pack-a-Punch camos that you can put on your guns, like that sort of shit would be like epic, and I'm sure every zombie person would buy it. Like as soon as there's a bit of zombie content, they're so diehard that they would buy it. But they're not, that even after all this time up to like Cold War, like they don't do any of that stuff. So it really is a bit telling of, they must think they're putting obviously all their money onto Warzone, and it just, is it ever going to be better more than a side mode? Like they had so many opportunities to turn it into an actual game, but they haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I know it's crazy. You don't really know where they're going to go with it.
So I mean, yeah, like obviously I think that's kind of quite in depth about. I think it's really going to be telling, what the future is going to be like for it. But yeah, speaking just of the map in general, one of the things they released was the new perk machine, which they're going to look to update on February 4th, which is Tombstone Soda, which is a throwback from Black Ops 2. And the funny thing with Tombstone Soda is like it was actually only ever on Green Run, because it was only like on Transit, which is it's the only map that it ever made sense for, because it was the biggest map, So it's kind of like with Tombstone, if you didn't know, when you die, essentially on your death, you drop a tombstone that saves all your weapons and all your perks, and then you can run and you can pick up your tombstone and you get all your stuff back. But all the other maps that came out from them were all kind of middle size or small, so it never needed it. It didn't exist. So it's funny that they're kind of bringing that back. So it's almost interesting to be like, well, it's kind of staying, because it was a bad perk. No one really liked it. So it's kind of like a bit of a curveball to bring this perk back. And like, if you'll probably show it on screen, but now like they've got this tier system of like, the easy crystals and what you can spend it on. And it's got the 3 different tiers. And it's actually a combination of another perk that was on Die Rise, I don't know if you know, which is Who's Who, which is also kind of a random perk, because both of these perks were death related. Like with Who's Who, you turn into a shadow and you got a chance to revive yourself, but you've got your guns and stuff. So now actual Tombstone Soda with the tier system is a combination of Who's Who and Tombstone. So like at tier 1, you get your shadow form can regenerate health. So obviously you've got a chance to revive yourself, which is like Who's Who. And at tier 2, you've got increased down duration to 60 seconds, so more of a chance to heal yourself. And then tier 3 is on death, drop a tombstone stash that saves your weapons and equipment. But most importantly, it's resources, because actually when you die in Cold War, you lose all of your salvage when you're playing with like friends. So that's actually a really, really good reason to have it. And I was going to say that you didn't really have that before in the other games. And salvage actually is quite hard to get hold of, because people think, why do you need tombstone when you've got like so many, like, you can constantly buy quick revives, which is a true point. But I think if you're playing with friends, then the salvage thing is going to make you actually want to buy it. And plus, there's no limit to your perks, so it's kind of like, why not?
Yeah,
But
why
I
not
think
exactly?
It's kind of interesting that they went for it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds cool. It sounds really cool on paper. So I was like, oh yeah, it sounds pretty good. But like you say, now you say the quick revive thing, I was like, yeah, it's kind of what the point? But it doesn't. Just the thing of like your resources and thing. That's the kind of edge, isn't it? But again, it's one of those things because there's no limit on perks. It's like obviously, if this would be definitely a perk that you would drop because you probably just get quick revive, right? Because it's kind of like, well,
yeah,
or you choose
exactly,
one or the other. If you was playing on your own or doing solo or whatever, you just choose one or the other. Maybe you choose this because you keep your salvage over quick revive. It's one of those. It's like quick revive, but it's a different option, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's got the same mentality.
Now you've got like. So like on D Machina, this will be in the Wonder Fizz, but then actually on the new map, FIREBASE, it's going to be an actual perk machine.
So yeah, so we haven't really talked about the new map though. Don't we? We've got like we've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, so FIREBASE, again, I'm pretty hyped for it because one, it's going to be really telling of where they're going to take the storyline and what they're going to do with it. And there's a lot of things that, I mean, I really, really do actually like Cold War and how it's all gone about. The things that I didn't like about it was the lack of, you just use operators and it doesn't feel as like personable. The actual thing I loved about like BO3, when you first launch a map, you've got everything, the mood, the storyline, the way the characters react to things, and it starts to build this narrative throughout all of them. And obviously they can only do this through that initial cutscene and the little bit of intel you get. So it's not quite the same. Like,
no.
So I'm interested in how they're going to develop it, and maybe like, are they going to introduce? Because obviously Samantha is one of the main characters in it, and a part of this storyline is that she actually went undercover into Vietnam, so the maps in Vietnam, and she went undercover because she was meeting one of the guys, like one of her informants, and she does actually get captured. So already that the main Easter egg quest is going to be rescuing Samantha.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Which is kind of quite cool because it was, if you think back to Origins Easter egg, you actually had to rescue Samantha then when she was a kid. So I quite like this sort of like tie. But yeah, the main thing really about it is for FIREBASE is like how, because I think again, are they going to release? I'd like them to actually release the characters. I think they'd like to introduce new characters, not operators. I don't think they're going to do it because it's not how the system works. But I'd like maybe in the future they could go back to that system. But
yeah, I mean, because it's such a beautiful thing. Like saying that was everything, the voice acting, like I say, just the characters themselves, and they're integral to the storyline. It's like, who are you playing? And it gives you an opportunity to go like, what's their role in this story, like as a character, like, and how it intertwines with the other ones. Like, it's just having a character instead of just like an operator is something's basic and should be in here. But for this one's, it's not. It's such a shame.
I think, it just really, that's one of the things it took away from, and it's made it like, that's why at least maybe they can bring in, even if they did operators, but when they're in zombies, they actually have zombie related quotes. I don't know why they didn't do it. They didn't invest just a little bit of extra time and just had the voice actors like do zombie related quotes, because there is really nothing. I mean, they did say some stuff, but it's nothing like, there's no mystery, there's no telling of like, what's that like, element 115 rock over there, or there's no like, nothing that makes you as a player kind of connect with them. They're just, faceless operators. Yeah. And I'm interested to see because obviously now they have to do it all through cutscenes. And when you complete D Machina, you literally just, you exfil out and that's it. And you're like, oh, okay, well, so where's my reward for like doing this?
That was so bad. That was so bad.
I mean, so I was hoping that they're going to have a nice intro cutscene that's just kind of like really going to set the map up. So when you go in, you're like, right, ready to go. And then also ending it on a cutscene that sets up the next map. So
yeah, but like even like
expectations.
Even like hearing you say that, it seems like it's like such a step down from like the past. It's like saying it's like, oh yeah, like we'll settle for just a basic game. Like I played like more in-depth storyline, narrative-driven games on a like Mega Drive. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like just asking for a cutscene and an ends like cutscene. It's like fucking it's basic, right? But
it's
do you
crazy.
like the question I want to ask is, do you think that they've gone for this like really stripped out narrative, like no characters, they're all operators, and there is a storyline, but we're going to make it really easy for everyone, and all the games, you know, the Easter egg is going to be easy for people to do, so that everyone understands the story, because the old storyline was such a mess that nobody really understood it.
Yeah, I think so. I also think like my positive theory, which is based on what you just said, is because there's obviously positive theories and negative theories. But the positive theory is if you really, really go back to the beginning of World at War, they were just operators. They were just stereotyped characters, you know, a guy from Japan, a guy from America. And then as you went through the first 3 maps, up until the Giant, like after, well, maybe it was NETDUMA where they actually started to have voices. They were always operators, and then you kind of built in with them. So I'm hoping that over time, once the player base is there and they're like, oh, people are actually playing it, people are actually back on board, we've started the story from the beginning, that we can then start to like, you know, really like slowly build it up, and it will then, you know, build its own cult again. And basically that is a real refresh. I'm hoping that happens, because that is a possibility. But also it could just be like, no, you're kind of just liking it as it is, and this is where we're going to go from now on. And we're just going to do it through intel pieces and, you know, an intro cutscene, and people can kind of make their minds up. But yeah, again, that's why I'm really kind of interested by this whole, like, you know, but this time it's also really different because all the DLC is free. So everyone, and that's probably why they kind of started from the beginning again, because sometimes people would only just play the on launch maps, and because they didn't want to pay for DLC.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. Yeah,
kind of just behind the wall. So that's why a lot of people dropped off, or they didn't understand the story. At least this way, everything's free. Everyone's going to be involved. Like, across so many different channels that they can actually just get everyone all on the same page. So I'm hoping that someone's thought, you know, exactly like I've just said, and this is their plan. Because if it's not, it's going to be like, yeah, really annoying. But that's for me probably why. So I think this Firebase is going to be really, really telling. But yeah, anyway, going back to the actual map itself, one of the things that was interesting when they released the roadmap for, like, you know, all the information that's coming out, there was one of the images which showed one of the operators, I think it's called Bulldozer, and he's got what looks like a zombie mastercraft. I think it's it either looks like a Sliquifier, or it looks like you know, like a DG Wonderwaff kind of mastercraft, or maybe the AK, I'm not sure. But I do find that kind of interesting, and that will get a lot of people on board. So they're releasing this new map on Feb 4th with an operator sort of mastercraft thing from the shop. Already that's kind of like, you know, it's quite cool. But the thing that I was kind of paying attention to the most in this was the teleporter, and the fact that it's got like this little wormhole thing, which is on the computer. And then they released another teaser, which is probably the one you're showing now, on the screen, that basically says, you know, N, which is like, you know, some Maxis, new Omega teleportation system connects the village on Firebase C to the Omega facility. And then I was just thinking, like, they started going through these teasers, and you can kind of just flip through them. So there's this one on screen now, which it says, like, Omega has developed new limitless power source. And to me, that looks exactly like Summit. And that is
Summit, 100%.
It is Summit. And exactly like it. I mean,
yeah, the one that kind of sealed it for me is this image here, which is the next one, the top-down view from the top. And that is exactly Summit.
Yeah, it's got Summit all over.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, like, for me, because this is supposed to be the Omega outpost, I feel like this map could be, and using this teleport, I feel like, because Summit is based in the Ural Mountains, which is in Russia, and obviously the whole map is set in Vietnam. So my kind of theory, I don't know if a lot of people have talked about it or not, but I do think there could be a teleporter that takes you between two places, which are actually two different locations. So,
but are they in the same time, or are they at different points in time, do you reckon?
But that's kind of what I was thinking, because on that road map shot, if you go back with the one with the bulldozer operator, it's on the screen. There's a wormhole, sort of like that sort of thing. Says you're, you know, going through space and time.
Yeah.
So it could be, for me, it's got like potential, could be a different place and time in the future, or it could just be teleporting you from one place to another. So again, it's going to be really interesting, but I like going through all this stuff. It's kind of setting up the next Easter egg and, you know, what it's going to be like, and rescuing Sam. Omega Group have basically got, they're one step ahead of Requiem. They've got this unlimited power source. So how are they going to use it? And I think obviously being able to teleport in either the future or the past is going to be pretty fucking powerful.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm just going to keep it quite short because we've kind of spoke quite a lot about it. But I do think that, in terms of zombies, they're kind of releasing enough stuff. Like the community is kind of a bit like we're all sitting back and just watching to see like Firebase is really going to be quite telling of what the future is. And like I say, if it ends up being like a D Machine like rip off, then it's really like, okay, it's just going to be like, like this.
Yeah.
And if it's kind of, they're putting out all the teasers, they're using all the different social media platforms. There was like January 15th is National 115 Day, and they kind of did like released a lot of content. So I think the only thing that's lacking, whereas at BO3 they had, Jason Blundell, who's a community manager, and he was very vocal about stuff, and we actually had like a community manager. Now it seems like we don't really have like a person behind zombies that's really like pushing it and giving information away. They're kind of just doing it a bit in drips and drabs. So ideally I'd like to see someone kind of like be the head again and be like, this is where we're going to do, and kind of like on their Twitter giving them like little secrets and stuff, just building the community up, because that's what people love. It's just all of this stuff.
Yeah.
One of the last things is just, again, on screen of this last teaser, which is like, Maxis, it says Dr. Tech's personal quarters, a mega scientist in charge of the outpost. And obviously, like, this bed is actually the same, I think it's either a reused asset, which is from Der Eisendrache. It's actually in one of the rooms, or there's, again, a connection to Der Eisen. But who knows at this stage? It's all kind of teaser and kind of guesswork. But yeah, I think it's interesting, man. It is interesting where we're going to go from it. I just hope they do a lot of positives for the community and for the game, because I do think that it is strong enough to have its own game at some point.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like, as you said, it is just like, it's kind of like when Cold War first come out, the big question was where are they going with zombies? Like, what is it going to feel like? What is it going to look like? What's it going to play like? And as you say, like, in summary, I guess, is like, now we've been playing this map for so long, and it is a bit easy, it's open to new players, etc. Is how the next one is the next step, the next telling sign is like, okay, we felt this one now, what's the next one going to be like? And yeah, I don't know. You know it's going to be good. It's going to be, it's always good. They're never bad, but it's kind of like, how is it going to feel? What's the kind of what is the kind of like the feeling of it? I just from Cold War, I'm just quite like sad that all the old, there's kind of the feeling of the characters and the storyline is gone, and it feels a lot drier. And even what you're saying from the point of just on the back end of just like the community managers and stuff, it doesn't really seem to have that kind of like, I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't really seem to have that kind of like community behind it, trying to get leaks and bloody, it just feels a bit dry.
It has lost a lot of that like
soul.
Like, it lost a lot of the soul and a lot of the hype. I think BO3 did kill quite a lot of it, because obviously, I mean, I don't want to go too much into it, but BO3 essentially, they had like the Chaos storyline and they had the Ether storyline. They planned to do the Chaos storyline for 1 year of the season pass, and then they do the Ether storyline for the second season pass, whilst Modern Warfare was running. That was their original plan. And then they had remade like Zombies Chronicles 2, apparently, Buried, and all of the other maps that they were going to do with all the characters. But because Treyarch had to move on to this game because Activision pushed things forward, they had to basically cut the second season. No one liked the Chaos map. It was like the community was split between two, so there was uproar, and it basically just destroyed it. And it was a mix of community versus Activision versus like loads of things. And now I feel like they did a fresh start. Like, just some of the things like Tag the Tote, and it like Alpha Omega was never supposed to come out at that point. Tag the Tote, and like, it just didn't make sense. Like, your last map of the Ether storyline is with characters you've never even shown in like BO before. They just, so it was just all very like, oh shit, we need to kind of like end this now. And I think they know it behind the scenes, obviously. But the thing is, I do like about the Zombies actual developers, they do actually care. Like, you can tell they really, really do care. Like, I feel like they're not like just making it for fun. Like, it started off from this side mode, and now that it couldn't. They have only passion can get it this far.
Yeah.
So I think as the community, as me watching, as we're kind of just hoping that they do good things, because we will support them. But everyone's just a bit like, nah, we're just going to kind of, we're interested, we're engaged, but like, you know, like say Mr. Ruffle Waffles, for example, he'll be posting storyline content, but then same time they might go off and play other games, you know, whereas before everyone was on zombies all the time.
Yeah, no, and that's a big thing. I kind of saw a video, I didn't watch it, but I saw him going like, oh, this is why I'm not going to be doing zombies anymore. I was like, wow, like, I was like, really? Like, that's a big saying. One question though, is it the same writing team, the Scottish dude and the other ones that have done the previous titles, or is it a completely different team?
So basically, like, BO1 kind of got, so World at War came out, and it was kind of like the campaign team that worked on it, and they kind of got it all the way up until BO1, and then a guy called Jimmy Salinsky kind of like, he was in charge. He was essentially the creative director, and that's when things were like, you know, really, really like cryptic, and you know, like do a 360, chuck a knife at a box, something comes out, and then you have to like, you know, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Love. But on his Twitter, someone would ask him a question, and he just replied with a riddle, and it would set the community off.
Yeah, that was great, man.
You know, like, but that sort of stuff's so good. Like when they were on BO2, it's like, oh, someone saw like a sign that said that, you know, transit route B, and everyone thought that there was an Easter egg that way you can unlock to go a different way on the bus, and it was like, you know, people spent like months trying to break that, and there was loads of things. And then Jason Blundell, who'd worked on the campaign, he took over from Jimmy Salinsky, and he basically was the one who creative directed, like, I'd say, like Mob of the Dead and like a lot of the BO3 maps, and who kind of made it what it was. And then he actually left at the end of BO4, pretty much during this whole chaos storyline period. Like he created the storyline, the chaos storyline, with the Scottish dude, and now the Scottish dude is in charge of the writing, essentially. And the guy who's taken over the creative direction is God, I can't remember his name now, but he basically worked on Mob of the Dead and Origins, so he's kind of he's good. So like, they've still got a good team. And you know, I think it's Craig Houston, who's the Scottish guy.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah,
you know, he's got really good writing, so hopefully, like, it works out.
Totally.
But yeah, it's been a lot of changes, but yeah.
Yeah, totally. Oh man, that's been
cool.
Yeah, that has been a good first podcast, man. I think so.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, no, that was dope. So yeah, this was long though. This was long. I think we're doing what, like an hour and a half, something like that. I'm not sure.
Don't know. Once you get talking about things, it's just impossible.
Yeah, I love it.
I hope everyone that's listening, they really like it, and you know, if we get good feedback, we'll just continue to do them. We'll probably do them anyway. So, but yeah, please just, you know, keep liking the content, and we'll keep putting it out.
Yeah, totally. That really does let us know that, like, you know, you guys are listening to it and liking it. And as I say, all throughout this, as you're listening to it, just drop a time code and let us know your thoughts on the specific topics. As I said before, I'll chapter everything to the kind of 10th degree, so you can just skip to certain topics and certain questions that we ask if you just feel like skimming through stuff, depending on the time. And let me know what you guys think. I may split this into 2 episodes, so like one is Warzone, one is zombies. I don't know yet. But to kind of end, as I say, just the support would be massively appreciated. I will stream the next one. So TTK002. The second episode, I'll stream it live, so you guys can come and join and ask questions, and I'll do a specific little section during the podcast where we answer your questions live in the podcast. So in order to do that, the links are down in the description, but just essentially come and follow me over on Twitch. Apart from this, obviously, you can see me frag out on Warzone and do the occasional zombies with our buddy Tell I Blast Off here and other stuff. All of my other links, like social links and all of that stuff, are down below. And again, don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with the podcast and all of our other content. But yeah, thanks so much, man, for joining me.
Yeah, that was great, man.
Yeah, awesome.
Really, really good.
All right, guys, much love. Speak to you in the next one.
Cool.
Peace.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.